The town's annual winter festival had always been a cheerful event. Hot cocoa, stands twinkling lights, holiday music humming in the background. That morning, the sky had been clear, the air crisp with the scent of pine. Claire Sullivan, dressed in her winter coat and warm boots, led her preschool class through the rows of festive booths. Her long blonde hair was braided loosely on either side, tucked behind her ears. She held tightly to a clipboard, with the children's names and emergency contacts, her eyes constantly scanning the group. Lily, in her favorite purple coat and snow boots, clutched a small cup of hot cider and skipped ahead to the puppet show tent. "Stay close, sweetheart," Claire called after her, her voice firm but gentle. Then the sky turned gray. It happened in a blink. Wind roared without warning, and seconds later snow began falling sharp, fast, heavy. The joyful noise of the festival turned to chaos. As parents grabbed their children, vendors scrambled to cover their wares, and teachers shouted names into the rising wind. "Blizzard! Everyone inside the Civic Center!" Someone yelled over a loudspeaker. Claire turned in a circle, counting heads. "Cameron, Sophia, Nolan, where's Lily?" Her chest tightened. "Lily!" The child was nowhere in sight. Claire's heart dropped as panic surged through her veins. She pushed through the crowd, calling her daughter's name again and again, her eyes stinging not from the snow, but from fear. A block away, the tinted windows of a sleek black SUV rolled silently down as it pulled to a slow stop near the park's edge. Nathan Hale, freshly out of a high-stakes investor meeting at the nearby Civic Center, had planned to take a brief walk before heading back to his office. But now, through the blur of falling snow, something small and purple caught his eye. A little girl. She was curled up beneath a bench at the edge of the path, arms over her head, her knees drawn in. Snowflakes swirled around her. Her tiny body shook. Nathan didn't think. He shoved his door open, ignoring the biting wind, and sprinted across the street. The snow pounded his shoulders and back as he dropped to one knee beside her. "Hey," he said, his voice low but clear. "You're okay now." Wide blue eyes peeked up at him. Her lips trembled. "I lost my mommy," she whispered. "It's all right. I've got you." He shrugged off his wool coat and wrapped it around her small frame, lifting her gently into his arms. Her fingers clung to his collar, her face pressed against his shoulder. Once inside the SUV, he turned up the heat and buckled her into the passenger seat, draping a dry blanket over her. She looked at him, cheeks flushed, hair damp against her forehead. Then she said, barely above a whisper, "My mom used to tell me about you." Nathan blinked. "What did you say?" She smiled shyly, a tiny dimple appearing in her left cheek. "She told me stories about a man who was brave and kind. I think it was you." For a moment, Nathan couldn't speak. The storm outside continued its rampage, battering the roof of the car. But inside, something in his chest stirred. Something that hadn't moved in a long time. That voice, that face, something about her, felt hauntingly familiar. He glanced again at the girl beside him. What stories had her mother told? And why did he feel like he had heard her voice, somewhere once, on a quieter day, in a different life? He didn't know her name, not yet. But somehow, it felt like she already knew him. The hallway outside the community medical center buzzed with voices, nurses calling names, children crying, parents speaking in hurried tones. Claire pushed through the crowd, breath-shallow eyes darting through open doors and corners. "Excuse me," she said to a nurse, her voice tight. "My daughter's missing." Lily Sullivan, 5 years old, blonde hair, purple coat. "We got separated during the blizzard." The nurse scanned a clipboard and nodded. "Room 7, straight down the hall, then right. She's safe. Safe." The word nearly brought Claire to her knees. She stumbled forward, her feet moving on instinct. When she reached the doorway, she stopped, breath catching in her throat. Through the small glass window, she saw him, Nathan Hale. He sat on a small plastic chair, awkwardly hunched forward, gently patting dry the curls of the little girl in front of him. His expensive gray suit jacket was draped over the back of the chair sleeves, damp and wrinkled. His tie was loosened, and his white shirt clung to him in places from the storm. But it wasn't the disheveled look that hit her. It was his face. Gone was the polished, unreadable executive expression. Instead, his eyes were focused tender, his brow furrowed as he worked quietly attentive, as if nothing else in the world existed but the child in front of him. And Lily sat calmly beneath his touch, eyes closed, peaceful. Claire stepped into the room. "Mommy." Lily cried, springing from the chair and throwing herself into her arms. "This is the man from your stories, right?" Claire froze. The sentence hit harder than thunder. She had never said his name. In 5 years, she had told Lily only fragments. Stories of a kind man who once made her laugh, then vanished. A man who never knew what he left behind. And now, that man stood before her. Nathan looked up. His eyes met hers. And for a moment, time fractured. The air between them thickened heavy with memory. "Claire," he said softly. She felt her heart stutter. "Hi." Silence stretched between them. Lily clung to her side, watching with curiosity. "You still wear your hair the same," he said, after a moment, his voice quieter. Claire reached up, brushing a braid, brushing a dye. "I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Not like this." Nathan stood slowly. He was broader than she remembered. Or maybe time had just made him seem larger. He looked the same, yet not older, but grounded. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. "I am now," she whispered, squeezing Lily close. Nathan's eyes dropped to the little girl. Something flickered there. Something deep, unreadable. Claire could see him trying to piece things together, but he didn't ask. Not yet. She stepped back before any of it could surface. "Thank you," she said. Her voice trembled for helping her. Nathan gave a small nod. His eyes lingered on Lily a second longer, then shifted back to Claire. There was something unspoken behind them. Curiosity, maybe, or recognition. Without another word, Claire turned and guided Lily toward the hallway. The crowd had thinned. Her heartbeat hadn't. She couldn't resist. She looked back. Nathan was still standing in the same spot, his tall frame silhouetted by the light inside the room. He hadn't moved. And something about that stillness told her this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The next afternoon, Nathan sent a message, a simple one. Coffee. Claire stared at the text longer than she needed to. 6 years had passed, and yet the weight of one word could still make her chest tighten. She agreed. They met at a small coffee shop near the park, once their favorite spot, back in the days when things felt new and full of maybes. It had not changed much. The same cozy chairs still lined the corner by the window. Nathan arrived, first seated at a quiet table. He stood when she approached his hand, brushing the back of his neck like it always did when he was unsure what to say. "Claire," he greeted. She smiled politely. "Hey." They sat ordered, and for a while said nothing that really mattered. Talked about the storm, the weather, the town's rebuilt library. But silence has a way of tugging old threads. And soon enough, the careful words gave way to truth. "It was 6 years ago," Nathan said quietly. "Feels like a lifetime or 10. Claire looked down at her cup. "Sometimes it feels like yesterday." He hesitated, then said, "Back then I was building something, or at least trying to. My entire focus was on the company. My pitch deck was practically a second language, and the investors were circling. New York wanted me." She nodded slowly. "I remember. I told myself I had to go." He continued that if I didn't make it happen, then I'd lose everything. But I didn't see what I was already losing. Claire was silent for a long time. Then she said softly, "We never really ended, did we?" He shook his head. "No, I think I just disappeared. Thought I was doing the right thing. You didn't even say goodbye." "I know." His voice cracked slightly. "I told myself it was just temporary. That once things settled, I'd come back. But I didn't. I wasn't brave enough. I wasn't brave." Claire looked out toward the park. The reflection of the streetlights shimmered on the wet pavement. "You meant something to me, Nathan," she said finally. "But maybe we were never meant to be a story that finished." He looked at her, then really looked. "You were important to me too, Claire. I just wasn't man enough to protect that. I thought I had to choose between love and success, and I chose wrong. She said nothing, but her eyes softened. Then he told her what had happened since. 2 years ago, the company nearly folded. An investor pulled out at the worst moment. His accounts froze. Articles surfaced, tearing him apart. His wife Victoria left within weeks. Their son Leo had just turned 1. I remember holding him and realizing I didn't know how to be a father, Nathan admitted. I was a mess, but he needed me, so I figured it out. Claire listened, her hands cupped around her mug. Now he's 4, Nathan said. He lives with me. Still calls for his mom sometimes in his sleep. Her eyes glistened. I'm raising Lily alone too. No one knows who her father is. I never told anyone. She paused, then added gently. But I used to tell her stories about a kind man, the kind who once made me believe the world had something good in it. He didn't speak, his jaw clenched, as though he were holding back a question he could not yet ask. They paid their bill, and as they stepped out, Lily, who had been playing nearby with a stack of picture books, ran up to them. She reached into her little backpack and pulled out a small pine cone. This is for you, Mr. Nathan, she said proudly. Mommy said you liked these. Nathan blinked, stunned. He took the pine cone from her gently. I do. I really do. He remembered how Claire used to collect them during winter walks. As Lily skipped ahead, humming to herself, Nathan stood still. Pine cone pressed between his fingers. Some wounds had never closed, but some memories never faded, and maybe some pieces still belonged together. The day after the blizzard, Claire received an email from the school board. Classroom repairs would take at least 48 hours. The preschool where she taught would be closed for 2 days. She sighed, glancing at Lily, who was twirling in her purple dress across the living room humming. Claire had planned to stay home, but that morning brought an urgent complication, a district-wide emergency budget meeting. She, as the lead early education representative, couldn't miss. Scrolling through her contacts, unsure who to ask for help, fate stepped in. At the children's bookstore downtown, she and Lily ran into Nathan Hale. More precisely, Lily ran into Leo. Hey, Lily squealed. You. Leo blinked, then smiled. From the park. They threw their arms around each other like old friends. Nathan crouched beside Leo with a dinosaur book, stood up when he saw Claire, expression unreadable, but not unkind. We meet again, he said. Claire smiled slightly. Looks like the kids already know each other. They do park buddies, I guess. Lily and Leo plopped down on the carpet, flipping through a pop-up book. Claire hesitated, then admitted, Lily's school is closed after the storm. I have a board meeting this afternoon. I was just trying to figure out childcare. Nathan looked at the kids, then back at her. If you trust me, I can take them both. They clearly get along. She paused. She wanted to say no, to keep her distance, to keep secrets safe. But Lily was beaming eyes full of hope. And Nathan, normally so guarded, looked almost gentle. Just the afternoon, Claire said. I'll bring them back by 5, he promised. The small zoo, outside the city, was quiet, perfect for 2 kids, and a man trying to remember how to laugh. Lily grabbed Leo's hand as soon as they passed through the gates. They ran from one enclosure to the next, pointing at lions, elephants, giraffes. Lily named the animals like fairy tale creatures. Leo, shy by nature, followed her lead with a grin. Nathan sat nearby on a bench, sipping lukewarm coffee. His son was smiling in a way he hadn't seen in months. And Lily, she felt familiar. Her questions, her joy, her presence. As they ate ice cream, Lily turned to him. Mr. Nathan, have you ever loved someone so much that you still remember them all the time? Nathan paused. Yes, he said quietly. And I think I never stopped remembering. Lily nodded. That's how Mommy is. She remembers someone too. He didn't ask who. When clouds rolled in, he brought them to a bookstore nearby. While the kids settled into the reading corner, Nathan wandered through the aisles. At the back, he found a wooden display of art supplies. One box caught his eye, a sketchbook set. An engraving option was offered. He didn't know why he bought it. Maybe it reminded him of Claire, who used to draw all the time in college. He asked the clerk to engrave the cover. Lily's world. In the car, he handed the gift to Lily. She gasped and hugged it tight. "I'm going to draw everything I love," she whispered. "This is my favorite thing ever." On the drive back, both kids fell asleep in the back seat, heads leaning together, mouths slightly open. Nathan glanced in the mirror and froze. There was something about their features, their brows, their chins, the way Lily tilted her head in sleep, just like him. A flicker of suspicion passed through him. Coincidence, he told himself. He pulled into Claire's driveway as the sky turned golden. She opened the door, clearly nervous. "They were perfect," he said softly. "Thanks for trusting me." Claire looked torn, then managed a small smile. "Thank you for giving her such a good day." That night, Nathan sat beside Leo's bed, tucking him in. The boy looked up, eyes heavy with sleep. "If I did something wrong in the past," Nathan asked quietly, "would you forgive me?" Leo didn't answer. He just rolled over and wrapped his arms around his father's neck. Sometimes, forgiveness didn't need words. Nathan sat in his home office late into the night, a quarterly report open before him, but he had not read a single line. His mind was elsewhere, circling around a little girl in a purple dress. Lily's laughter still echoed in his ears. There were things about her he couldn't ignore. The way she tilted her head when she was curious, exactly like him. The way she furrowed her brow in focus. The quiet habit of turning a ring around her thumb when deep in thought. He did the same thing, and her voice. "My mom used to tell me about you." That line had lodged in his chest. 6 years ago, Claire had disappeared from his life. 5 years ago, Lily was born. The timeline matched. He pushed the report aside. The numbers could wait. The truth couldn't. The next morning, Nathan visited Little Stars Academy under the pretense of delivering a corporate donation for classroom supplies. He wore the usual tailored suit and calm smile, playing the role everyone expected. But the moment Lily saw him, she ran into his arms. "Mr. Nathan?" He knelt, hugging her close. Over her shoulder, he saw Claire frozen in the doorway, her expression unreadable. A nearby teacher chuckled. "You two look alike. Same eyes, same smile. It's uncanny." Nathan saw the panic flicker across Claire's face as she quickly redirected the conversation and guided Lily away. But it was too late. Nathan left without a word. An hour later, he stood at Claire's doorstep, heart pounding. Leaning against the railing was a small bike carefully painted. On its side, in uneven letters, were the initials LW. His breath caught in his throat. Lily Wolfe. No Lily. Hale or Lily Sullivan. Claire opened the door. Surprise turned to something closer to dread. "Is something wrong?" she asked gently. "Yes," Nathan said. "It's about your daughter." She hesitated. Then he pulled something from his coat, a beaded bracelet Lily had dropped the day before. On the heart-shaped charm were 2 tiny letters, NH. "She said she made this herself," he said. "Who helped her, NH? That is not random." Claire stood motionless, her eyes shimmering. "I counted the years," he continued. "You left 6 years ago. Lily is 5. Did you think I would not notice?" Claire's lips parted. Her voice barely made a sound. "You were everywhere back then. On every magazine cover. You were about to get married. I was just a page you turned." "No," Nathan whispered, voice cracking. "You were the chapter I never finished." He stepped closer. "Tell me the truth. Is she mine?" Claire let the tears come. She gave a slow, silent nod. Nathan inhaled sharply. His legs nearly gave way. "All this time?" he said, barely above a whisper. "I had a daughter. I wasn't hiding her to hurt you," Claire said. "I was protecting her. You were falling apart. I didn't know if you'd even survive it. I thought she'd only make it harder." He gave a soft, bitter laugh. "But she's the only thing that would have saved me." He turned away for a moment, gathering himself. Then he faced her again, steadier. "I need time," he said, "not to forgive you, but to learn how to be a father to her." He turned, slipping the bracelet into his pocket with shaking fingers. Just as he reached the steps, he heard a small voice behind him. "Mr. Nathan." He turned. Lily stood there clutching her pine cone. She looked up at him with big, earnest eyes. "Don't be sad. Mommy says good people always find their way back to where they belong." His chest ached. He knelt, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. "I promise," he said, voice thick. "I'll come back. Okay." Lily nodded solemnly and wrapped her arms around his neck. As he walked away, the sunset painted the sky in gold. In his hand was the bracelet his daughter had made, the first piece of her he would carry with him. A new chapter had begun, and this time he would not walk away. Nathan didn't rush. After learning the truth, he moved slowly, carefully, not wanting to break something fragile. He spent more time with Lily. He never called himself her father. Not yet. Instead, he listened, watched, and learned. She painted clouds that looked like animals, made up stories about talking flowers, and asked questions that stayed with him. Do grown-ups forget people they love if they're too busy? No, sweetheart, he'd say. They might try, but love doesn't forget. Claire remained cautious. She let him in one step at a time. Trust didn't rebuild overnight. But each time Nathan showed up outside Lily's classroom, just to wave goodbye, or knelt to tie her shoes without a word, Claire's guard dropped a little more. Leo changed too. The shy boy, who once clung to his father's leg, now ran to greet Lily each morning. They became inseparable. Two puzzle pieces finally put together, and Claire became Miss Claire to Leo, a name he said with a kind of warmth that pierced Nathan's chest. Then on a regular Tuesday, everything shifted. Nathan called Claire in a mild panic. An emergency meeting had been moved up, and his sitter was stuck in traffic. Leo had already been picked up and was waiting on the daycare steps. "I'll go get him," Claire offered immediately. "He can stay with us until you're done." That evening, Nathan arrived at her house. The front door was slightly open. He stepped inside and stopped. On the living room rug, Lily and Leo sat cross-legged among a mess of Legos, building something oddly spaceship-like. Claire knelt beside them, reading from a picture book. One hand rested on Leo's soft hair as she read aloud. Nathan stood silently, his throat tightened. He hadn't seen a moment like this in years. Peace-belonging family. When Claire looked up and noticed him, she smiled, surprised but calm. "They built that all by themselves," she said, nodding to the lopsided Lego ship. He nodded, speechless. Leo ran to him and hugged his leg. Then Lily joined. Claire walked over, voice soft. He had 2 bowls of stew. "Hope that's okay. It's perfect," Nathan said. "But peace is fragile, and the past doesn't always stay buried." On a bright Saturday, Nathan took the kids to the park. Lily chased butterflies. Leo played on the swing. He pushed the swing, gently smiling, until a cold, familiar voice stopped him. "Well, isn't this domestic?" He turned. Victoria stood there, in heels, and a designer coat sunglasses perched on her head. Arms crossed her eyes, flicked from Nathan to Claire, who stood frozen nearby. "Leo," Victoria cooed. "Come say hi to Mommy." The boy hesitated. Nathan stepped between them, jaw tight. After an awkward moment, Victoria pulled Nathan aside. "I want to come back," she said. "Leo is my son. He belongs with me. You left when he could barely talk." Her smile was thin. "And now you're back in the headlines. Success looks good on you. I'm just here to complete the redemption arc. You're not part of this story anymore," he said firmly. She stepped closer, her voice like ice. "Then I'll fight for custody. The courts might like hearing about your emotional history, or the fact that you've hidden a child from the public. You're not exactly stable, are you?" Then she walked off. That night, the warmth was gone. Nathan told Claire everything. She listened in silence, arms crossed tightly. Lily was asleep in the other room. "I knew something would come to take this away," she whispered. "I won't let her," he said. "I'm not talking about her," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm talking about us. I've seen how fast things fall apart. I can't let Lily or Leo get caught in that." He stepped closer, wanting to reach her, but she took a step back. I think we should put space between us for now. Nathan's chest ached. He wanted to argue, but the look in her eyes stopped him. She wasn't angry. She was protecting something she loved. And he realized for the first time that love wasn't just about showing up. It was about fighting patiently, honestly, for the chance to stay. Not just for custody, not for control, but for trust. For them. Nathan sat across from Victoria in a sleek law office high above the city, the windows offering a foggy view of Manhattan. She wore red lipstick and a smug expression, legs crossed, manicured nails tapping rhythmically against her handbag. You always did look good under pressure, she said smoothly. But let's not pretend you're in control here. He stayed silent. Victoria leaned forward, smile razor sharp. You want to play happy family with your ex and her kid fine? But I'm Leo's mother, and I have every right to bring him back. Especially now that the media has rediscovered your name. And if I recall correctly, 2 years ago, you were one bankruptcy away from a breakdown. Nathan didn't flinch. You mean the breakdown you walked away from? That's called survival, Nathan? No, he said calmly, opening a folder and sliding it across the table. This is survival. Inside documents therapy records, parenting schedules, a glowing psychological evaluation, even references from Leo's daycare, all meticulously prepared. Victoria's expression faltered for the first time, and then came the final piece. I wanted to keep this private, Nathan said, sliding over a tablet. But Leo asked to say something just in case. He pressed play. On screen, Leo sat on his small bed, clutching his stuffed fox. His voice was soft but clear. Daddy always reads to me before bed. He makes pancakes on Sundays. Miss Claire helps me draw. I like our house. I don't want it to change again. Then after a pause, he looked into the camera. I love my daddy. Silence. The lawyer beside Victoria leaned over and whispered something into her ear. Her jaw tensed. The smugness faded. This isn't over, she muttered, standing. It already is, Nathan replied. Rain fell softly as Nathan stood on the steps outside Claire's house. The porch light glowed behind the screen door, casting warm light on her silhouette as she opened it. She looked surprised and tired. Is everything okay? She asked quietly. He nodded. It's done. She's not coming after Leo. Relief flickered across her face, but so did hesitation. And now Nathan stepped forward, his voice low and steady. Now, I stopped letting fear write my story. She blinked. I do not want another chance with the past. I want a future. His eyes searched hers. And it's you, Claire. It's Lily. It's Leo. He reached for her hand, rain sliding down his face. That's home. You're my home. Claire stared at him, then stepped into his arms, tears already streaming down her cheeks. She clung to him, as if the weight of 6 years had finally lifted. I was so scared, she whispered. I didn't want to believe we could have this. You don't have to believe alone anymore, he whispered back, for the first time. No more secrets, no more distance, just love, raw, real, and finally spoken aloud. Inside the house, Lily and Leo peeked through the window, giggling at the sight of their parents in the rain. And just like that, the four of them were no longer pieces trying to fit. They were a whole. 6 months later, the garden behind their cottage in the countryside had been transformed into something out of a storybook. Strings of golden lights hung from the white wooden fence, swaying gently in the breeze. Lavender bloomed along the gravel path, its scent drifting in the summer air. Chairs lined both sides of the aisle, filled with the few people who had stood by them through the hardest chapters. At the end of the path, Lily, wearing her favorite pink dress, walked slowly, scattering handfuls of lavender petals from a woven basket. Her curls bounced with each step, her grin as wide as the sun. Just behind her, Leo stood proudly in his tiny suit, both hands clutching a velvet box containing 2 simple gold rings. His face was serious, determined. Today, he was his father's best man. At the altar, Nathan Hale stood waiting, dressed in a slate gray suit that matched the soft sky above. But it was not the suit that made him handsome. It was the way he looked at the woman walking toward him. Claire's hair was braided gently down both sides, framing her face with softness. Her dress was simple, no lace, or sequins, just flowing white cotton that moved with her like the breeze. Her eyes were full of light, her steps steady, as she walked hand in hand with her mother, who once doubted Nathan, but now wiped away proud tears. When Claire reached him, Nathan took her hands in his voice just above a whisper. "I never believed in second chances," he said, "but you were mine." The ceremony was short, heartfelt. No grand speeches, just vows, written in quiet nights, exchanged beneath the open sky. When it was done, when the cheers had faded into music and laughter, Lily tugged at Nathan's sleeve. "Daddy," she said, her voice soft but certain. He knelt beside her, heart already full. "I have a wish," he smiled. "What is it, princess?" She leaned in close, her breath warm against his cheek. "I wish we'll always be a family and never go away again." Nathan looked at Claire, who was now his wife, his anchor. Her eyes met his, full of love and quiet promise. He pulled Lily into his arms, holding her tight. That wish already came true. As night fell, the garden grew quieter, lit only by the soft glow of lanterns and the laughter of two children chasing fireflies. Then came the final moment. Nathan stood between Claire and the kids, each of them holding a paper lantern, its base flickering with flame. Together, they released them into the night sky. 4 lights rose side by side, drifting into the stars. From behind, they looked like a portrait. 2 adults, 2 small silhouettes, all connected by something invisible but unbreakable. And as the lanterns disappeared into the darkness, a voice echoed in the stillness. Some people stop believing in love. Some give up on family. But sometimes love finds you anyway. In a blizzard, in the scent of pine, in the voice of a child who didn't know your name, only your heart. But the story didn't end there. 2 years later, on a snowy morning, much like the one that brought them together, Nathan and Claire opened the doors to the Hale Family Foundation. It wasn't just a building. It was a promise. A center dedicated to helping single parents find stability, education, and hope. Leo and Lily, now older and wiser, cut the ribbon together. And hanging in the lobby was a framed drawing, done in colored pencil, of a family of 4 standing under a giant umbrella in the snow. Underneath, in messy, lovable handwriting, it read, "The day the storm brought us home." They proved that while storms can shake the foundations, they can also clear the path for something stronger to be built. They weren't just a family. They were a fortress of love. Thank you for spending your time with this story. We hope it brought a little warmth to your day. Sometimes life's hardest moments are just the beginning of something beautiful we can't see yet. If this story resonated with you, let us know. In the comments, we read every single one. Don't forget to subscribe and join our community for more heartfelt tales. Wishing you peace, kindness, and your own quiet miracles. Until next time.